Many of the hotels right now here along this stretch of 35th Street in Midtown are being used to house the homeless right now during the pandemic. But with so many hotels being used like this, there are serious questions being raised about the future of this single room occupancy model, especially as we move beyond the pandemic.
It's only a room, but it's mine.
Derek Johnson is one of more than 13,000 homeless people the city is putting up in 136 hotels each night. His hotel is the Kixby on 35th Street in Midtown. A quick Google search shows a nightly rate of $174, although the city is not saying how much it's paying for a long-term lease of the whole building. Johnson hopes this remains an option for him after the pandemic passes, as opposed to the traditional group shelters.
A lot of people don't want to go to shelter because they don't want to be robbed, they don't want to get into fights, they're scared, especially the elderly.
Department of Housing Preservation and Development Commissioner Luis Carroll recently said, in theory, with the city's hotel industry struggling, buying up hotels could be an affordable way to quickly increase homeless and affordable housing. But her spokesman confirms there's no concrete plans to actually just buy hotels, especially amidst the city's own financial struggles and hundreds of millions cut from social service agencies in the budget that just passed. Meanwhile, housing advocacy groups like Vocal New York say the pandemic's proven that the hotel model can work while shelters have seen deadly outbreaks.
We've reached a point where we can never see congregate shelters as a safe place for people to go. And we need to start exploring every option.
If the city does not keep these hotels after COVID-19 passes, the question becomes how to shift back to the old congregate shelter system. All a spokesman for Mayor Bill de Blasio would say is that any and all options are being considered. But there may be other reasons the city has no plans to keep the expanded hotel sheltering.
We forget lessons learned. We learned that that was a big problem in the 80s when we just put people into hotels because it was beautiful space that was available. The hotel market was way below occupancy levels in those days, just like today. And then we had to come out in the end because it became so notorious in so many situations.
Ralph DaCosta Nunez with the Institute for Children, Poverty, and Homelessness says there have been particularly tragic results with children, including abuse and death, which explains why the hotels now being used for isolation during COVID have been generally for single men, although there are some for women. One woman we spoke with would not let us show her face, but says the hotels have been working out relatively well.
And I think we should stay in our hotels until everything is clear for us to go back to our original shelters.
And the question in this moment is when, how, and if New York can do that successfully.
Once you're in, will you ever be able to come out? Will you ever be able to stop this hotel from getting run down?
One of the service providers operating one of the hotels contracted by the city suggested to me that this model could be extended past the pandemic if serious services and counseling were given to those in the hotels, but that all costs money, and the city does not have a lot of that right now. In Midtown, Henry Rossoff, Pix 11 News.